Tyreek Hill.
No way.
Chill out.
Dylan.
Get him video.
I did. Dylan.
Yo, FaceTime. FaceTime me.
You understand? Not what you want, but what we do. You're a little you.
What the?
Tyreek
Dylan, go.
Hill.
Dylan, no. I'm trying to get on video.
Flip me around.
They put him in handcuffs.
No way. Flip me around.
Oh.
What? No, he's on his way to the game. Oh, I bet you this Rolls Royce is another.
Was stopped, placed in handcuffs, and laid face down on the hot Miami pavement prior to his opening game against the Jaguars. For a traffic violation, this is inexcusable. Yet, as we have seen too many times, there are hardly any repercussions for police brutality, especially against a minority in this country, the United States of America. Hill spoke with the media after the game.
Right now, I'm still trying to put it all together. So I'm not going to give you a version that I still don't know what happened. You know what I'm saying? But I do want to say, I do want to be able to use this platform to say, like, what if I wasn't Tyreek Hill, bro? Like, worst case scenario, you know, because it's crazy. Like, I want to be a cop one day. I got a state trooper, had all that, you know, so I got a lot of respect for cops, man. But obviously, you know, everybody has bad apples in every situation, you know, so I want to be able to, you know, use this platform, you know, to figure out a way to, like, flip this and, you know, make it a positive on both ends, on my end and then also Miami-Dade, you know, so that way we can team together and, you know, do something positive for the community, because that's what it's all about, bro. Like, you guys are here to, like, protect us as individuals, and, you know, I have a platform and I want to be able to team up with you guys. So
A lot there, and it's safe to say, through the information that we know as factual, there is a lot that's also easily disprovable. And there are some disagreements to be had, but we'll save it for towards the end. His teammate Javon Holland also reacted to it.
Yeah, that was crazy. I was stretching and I seen on the TV, bro got arrested. And then I seen the clip, cop like kicked him or something like that. It was crazy. So that's got to get handled. You know what I'm saying? Excessive force on a black man, that's not uncommon. It's a very common thing in America, so I think that needs to be addressed at a countrywide level. So yeah, I don't think that is cool at all. But you know, it's not unnatural or not uncommon for cops to do that type, especially the black man. So that needs to be addressed for sure.
Then we would also learn veteran defensive lineman, I think he's been in the league for like 14 or 15 years, Calais Campbell, when driving to the stadium, spotted Hill getting arrested. He attempted to de-escalate, but was detained by police as well.
The officer, you know, was like, get back, you know, so I'm following and complying and doing everything he tells me to do. But I just wanted to make sure that I was there in support of my teammate, you know, especially as a, you know, black man in America, and, you know, just all the different things that happen with police officers and situations. You know, when I see excessive force, I'm like, hey, you know, this is not okay. You know, so I'm trying to step in there and trying to figure out what I can do to help. And then, you know, officer, there was really, you know, of all officers there was really just one guy that was extreme. Everybody else was, you know, seemed like they were, you know, just doing what they're supposed to do. But the one officer that was a little bit elevated, you know, told me I wasn't listening to him, so he put me under, and detained me as well, put me in handcuffs, and then after a conversation, he took my license, you know, he let me go, and we were able to go and play football. But it just was a crazy situation, definitely unnecessary, and you know, just you don't expect things like that to happen when you're at the stadium on your way to work. You know, I mean, we're there already. You know, we're turning into the stadium. You can't get no closer to work without being there. He's like, that's it, you're under arrest. Puts me in handcuffs, and you know, Tyreek's there, you know, obviously feeling distressed, and you know, Jonnu Smith was there as well on the other side in front of him, and I was behind him, and he's like telling Jonnu, "Don't leave me, man, don't leave me," you know, and he's, you know, talking to me, and it's just like, you know, I mean, he's in an extreme situation that I don't think he should have been in. It was completely unnecessary.
Why was he being detained? Were you offered any explanation?
No.
To answer that last question, according to Hill himself, he was pulled over for allegedly speeding while driving to Hard Rock Stadium about 3 hours before kickoff. He was placed in cuffs after a verbal altercation occurred. Sources would tell ESPN's Jeff Darlington, he was cited, as in Hill, for reckless driving. That's per Darlington once more. Now, also present there, and I'm not even sure many people knew this, but Odell Beckham Jr. was there. He is currently on the Miami Dolphins roster. Drew Rosenhaus, Tyreek Hill's agent, also spotted at the scene of the arrest via NBC. Miami-Dade Police Department Director Stephanie Daniels said she has ordered an internal affairs probe and that one of the officers involved has been placed on administrative leave, of course, while the investigation is conducted. Meanwhile, Hill balled out against the Jags. He had a game-high 130 yards, 1 touchdown. It came on an 80-yard play. The Dolphins erased a 14-love deficit, and after that score, he imitated being placed in handcuffs, so already mocking the police department. The fallout, though, is continuing. Rosenhaus told CNN in a statement that Hill and his team are considering taking legal action. Here's what Rosenhaus said. What happened today to Tyreek at the stadium is completely unacceptable. Tyreek did not deserve to be treated that way by the police involved. Now, the mayor of Miami-Dade, whose name is Daniela Levine Cava, would write on Instagram, I commend Chief Reyes and Director Daniels for the immediate steps taken in the hours that followed today's incident with a Dolphins player, Tyreek Hill. Actually, name which one. In calling for a swift internal review. In recent years, our nation has confronted important conversations on the use of force, and the internal review process will answer questions about why the troubling actions shown in public video footage were taken by the officer. We will continue to keep our community informed about this process, and findings will be made available, critical to maintaining the public trust that Miami-Dade Police Department has earned with our community. Earned. There are stories upon stories upon stories of how there is a complete distrust between the community and Miami-Dade police, but go for it. I look forward to learning more from the internal review process and to updating the public as the review concludes. Again, I have a lot to say about this. I'll save it for the end. Now, what really gets me is the reaction, because commentators on ESPN said it was mind-boggling the cops would put Tyreek Hill on the ground and cuff him for a moving violation. I mean, where have you been? How is this mind-boggling? You know what that sounds like? America. That's what it sounds like. And we even heard about all of this pretty recently from a guy who was in this sport in the United States of America.
There's a lot of things that need to change. One specifically is police brutality.
But, can't have that happening. Why would we have that happening? Why would we allow him to continue to spew this nonsense and garbage about police brutality? Why would we allow that? You know what we should do? As a hierarchy billionaire class, we should band together and boot him from the league. That's what we should do. It's pretty interesting that the Washington Commanders' Ryle Antine was terribly, secretly recorded and called all of these gestures from the NFL when it comes to social justice performative, his words, because they don't care. And it's very true they don't care. And look no further than that man right there that I just played. From the great Dave Zirin, who I absolutely love. You might expect the NFL to stand up for one of its most famous players, but the NFL does not cross the police, he wrote. The NFL partners with the police. This is a league that blackballed Colin Kaepernick for kneeling during the anthem. It is also a league that, in the wake of outrage from all sides over how it handled Kaepernick's protest, turned to public relations instead of honest dialogue. It is because, and we have heard from the reporting, it was mentioned in Jim Trotter's lawsuit, that Jessica Pegula's father even said that it is hurting his business, the protests that are going on. Not the man that he supports for president many times over, and how that guy is largely responsible for this divide instead of uniting. It is the protesters' fault. There were also many other comments that we have covered when it comes to Mr. Pagula. If you want to see those, check it out on demand by searching Jim Trotter. More from Zyron. It wanted to be seen as a force to end racism, words emblazoned in the back of every end zone. It'd play Lift Every Voice and Sing before the Star-Spangled Banner. Even Sunday's news that Kendrick Lamar will play the halftime show for the Super Bowl as part of the agenda. And Zyron would write, and if you're surprised that the NFL would choose someone as political as Lamar, you might remember the last time he played the Super Bowl halftime, his lyrics about police killing civilians mysteriously disappeared. Yeah, that was interesting. In the current political climate, this incident matters. One presidential candidate is calling for mandatory stop and frisk by the nation's police and wants to grant police full immunity from charges of brutality. For these initiatives, despite his own criminality, he has been endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police. No surprise, they did it in 2020 as well. The other party, when faced with an opportunity to remake and rethink policing in 2020 following the murder of George Floyd, instead insisted on more funding for the police. Outrageous. The NFL is run by billionaire franchise owners who are Trump supporters, many of whom are bankrolling Trump's promise of unaccountable policing. They are profiting off of black bodies on the field and criminalizing them off of it. If Tyreek Hill and Calais Campbell want to understand why the police saw their lives as something less than, they could start with the owner's box. Their boss, this is a great point. Stephen Ross is a friend of Trump's through a fundraiser for him in the Hamptons. It all recalls the day in 2019 when Jay-Z announced a partnership with the league, and sitting side by side, Rock Nation's YouTube channel even uploaded the entire exchange. He said, Jay-Z, we have moved past kneeling. The NFL certainly has. And by the way, have you heard that Kendrick is playing the Super Bowl? Great point. All right. So let's start from the beginning. Tyreek Hill making a point about how, he wants to become a cop. And he basically gave the argument of there are bad apples. We have dispelled this. It is wrong. It is a faulty perspective that is built on lies. It is not bad apples. It is the tree. The tree is poisonous. Because what happens when some officers report bad behavior from their coworkers? They get fired. They get placed on administrative leave. They get sent to a different police precinct in the country. They get outed. They may even get brutalized. How about all the cops that stood around when George Floyd was suffocated to death? Were those just bad apples? The bad apples argument is terrible because what it says is it's solvable. This is not solvable. It is not. There's more to this. And if we need to do another few pieces on it, we can. But the bad apples argument is preposterous. It is awful. The second is, and I need everyone to pay attention to this, when stuff like this happens, what is the next chain of events? Number one, the police commissioner, spokesperson, chief, what have you, immediately administrative leave. So they get paid to not work. Okay. Then they will do an internal investigation, which will be dragged out. And more than 90% of the time, they drag it out to buy time, so the story just gets buried. Because as we have seen, pick any topic of news, okay? Let's say political news. Let's say sports news. Let's say music news. There is so much that happens on a given day that you give it a few days, you give it a few weeks, maybe even a month or two. And then you report back. It will be 3 paragraphs long of a USA Today aggregated article or a Yahoo Sports aggregated article basically saying they're back on the force. Third, and this is a huge problem is the amount of covering. And we've seen this most blatantly with Eric Adams serving as mayor of New York and many other mayors. It is that they are scared blankless. Been told not to cuss. They've been scared blankless by police unions, so they don't want to cross them. So this statement that Daniela Levine Cava put out, commending the chief, commending the director, talking about community unity, it's all hogwash. We have seen so many stories coming out of Miami about how the police mistreat its civilians. And on top of that, when Tyreek Hill said that the police are there to protect us, the Supreme Court ruled that inaccurate. They are not there to protect us, which goes back to the point. What are they there to do? They are there to protect property and the ultra wealthy, not us. They don't care about us. So that's another argument that has to be completely dispelled. Here's the last thing that I will say. Because it is a known person, a la a Scotty Scheffler, we are going to learn more about this officer. Okay? But if it were you or me, nobody's. Not a star receiver for the Miami Dolphins. We wouldn't. Heck, we don't even know if this would be a story. Most news organizations might see guy gets kicked by officer, but it's actually not that bad. Again, if it's even a story. Star power, celebrity stature matters in situations like this because we have seen over and over again. If it is not a big name or if it's a beating, most local news organizations will not pick it up. And my very last point, Dave Zirin is an amazing writer. Please follow his stuff at The Nation. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.